1. Hello everybody and welcome back to the inn. Well, a new expansion has been released and you know what that means, Eddie.
Yay!
Time to talk about cards. Well, the next expansion is the Knights of the Frozen Throne and it will be releasing sometime in August. It says mid-August. I'm thinking mid to late, so don't think early mid, think later mid. I think they're going to give us a lot of time to kind of, digest cards, hopefully, unless they're just going to go, here are all the card reveals, and then Eddie and I we're just cranking out videos like crazy.
You never know, that's what's probably going to have to happen.
And then we'll die of exhaustion, and you'll never hear from us again. So anyway, yeah, the next set is centered around Northrend and, the Lich King and all that. We're going to be getting a new adventure type mode that'll be going along with this set. I think there's a prologue, and then there are 2 wings, and then there's the Lich King fight. And apparently the Lich King is different for every single class, and if you beat him with every single class, you get something. I don't know. But that's not what's important. Yeah, something special. But that's not what's important. You know what's important, Eddie?
Well, besides the prologue giving you a free Death Knight.
But that's not important. Do you know what's important, Eddie?
The cards!
The cards! Yay! Everyone cheers. There we go. Just in general, I think that the cards that we've seen are, while maybe not the best representation of probably what we're going to see, like there's going to be 135 new cards in this set, in this expansion. And they've only revealed 5 of them, so there's 130 more to go. And even though I don't think that these are probably the best representative cards of the expansion, I think that as thematically they kind of represent what we should expect to see going forward. What I mean by that are they pretty much gave us each of the general type of stuff, unique mechanical stuff we should expect to see. So, yeah, we're going to be going over some of that. Just before we get to the one card that I know Eddie's going to be talking about later on, Death Rattle. This is going to be, after Naxxramas, this is going to be the next Death Rattle set. Now, they said that this set is not going to be heavily Death Rattle focused, but it is going to be a focus. So, don't expect Death Rattle like almost every other card to be a Death Rattle card. But I'm thinking, maybe, maybe a fourth of the set, Eddie?
No, actually, they said about, from what I remember, about 17, roughly, maybe?
No, it's not 17. They never gave a number.
I could have sworn they
let me pull up the news thing, and we'll go over what I said and what was meant. It says there's not necessarily a lot of Death Rattle minions. This is a set about the Lich King, so there will be some Death Rattle minions, but it might not be like Naxxramas where there are Death Rattle minions everywhere. Yeah, it's part of the set, but it's not a huge part of the set. Eddie, the 17 cards you're thinking about was how many Naxxramas had. For the record, these are the Death Rattle accounts. Goblins vs. Gnomes contain 12. Grand Tournament contains 7. Whispers of the Old Gods contain 25. Mean Streets of Gadgetzan had 12, and then Goro had 19. A lot of people are, what they're thinking about, they think that there will be more Death Rattle than Journey into Angora, which is 19. I'm thinking there'll probably be as much, if not more, than Whispers, since this should be a Death Rattle one. That's 130. Let's say roughly a fourth. Like the reason Naxxramas, because I think they're looking at Naxxramas. They're not saying, when they're referring to a Naxxramas, a lot of people, they're not saying that it's going to be less than 17 cards, Eddie. What they're meaning is that Naxxramas was almost entirely composed of Death Rattle cards. So percentage-wise, Naxxramas was a huge percent. Basically, percentage-wise, it's not going to be like Naxxramas. But we should still expect a lot of Death Rattle cards. So I'm thinking probably let's see, a fourth would be...
25%.
I know, Eddie. I'm trying to figure out how many cards that's going to be. I would not be surprised if there were at least 30 Death Rattle cards. I don't think that's a lot, to be fair. So if about roughly 30 cards a set are Death Rattle, I think that's about that's appropriate. That would be more than any other sets contained, and I think that'd just be about right for the set. Like, pretty much, if you put it on next Rama's turns, we're talking about 100-something cards going to be Death Rattle, and no one's expecting that in an expansion. But I'm expecting probably at least a fourth to be Death Rattle. A fourth or a fifth or something like that.
That would put it around 32 to 33.
Yeah. I'm expecting between 30 and 35 Death Rattle minions, to be perfectly honest.
I'm going to say, on a specific number, 28. I'll just put it like, that's the number, 28.
You just want to go on the low end.
I'll lowball it.
Well, I like Death Rattle, and I like this as the kind of like the death themed expansion. So I'm going to go on the high end. I'm going to say 30 to 35.
If you had to pick a specific number, what would it be?
30 feels about right for me, but I know it's probably going to be in between. I'm going to go with 30 rather than 35. I think it'll be more on the low end of 30 than the high end of 30.
It'll be 31, just to mock you.
It'll be like 32. But yeah. So anyway, there are some other new unique mechanics that are going to be introduced, and we are going to talk about them. First off, something I've kind of liked, Eddie, over the past 3 expansions, they've kind of introduced new concept-like cards. And as always, it's not really the cards themselves I'm interested in, but just the idea that by introducing this new mechanic, this new concept, that maybe we'll see that this could be a good change of pace for Hearthstone in the future, and maybe we'll see more cards like this. They're introducing, this time around, like, you know, when Mystery's Gadget, they introduced the multi-class card. In Ungoro, they introduced the Quest card. And in the Knights of the Frozen Throne, they're introducing the Hero card. Now, this card, you know, it costs a certain amount, but basically, this card immediately replaces your hero. It's going to give you maybe a certain amount of armor or health or whatnot. It may have a battle cry, and you will have a brand new hero power. It's pretty much, you know, basically, like I said, it completely replaced your hero. Now, I'm going to have to draw this before you say anything, because I know the comparisons that everybody's been making. Because we've had hero replacing cards before. Major Dormu Executus, of course, if it died, it replaced your hero with Ragnaros. But of course, everybody thinks of Jiraxis.
I was about to scream it too.
Here's the difference, though. You know what the major difference is, Eddie?
Let's see. These do something different.
Jiraxis is a minion, and this is specifically a hero card. And I don't think they're going to go back, and they should not go back and change any of the hero replacing stuff. They should not replace Jiraxis and make it a hero card. And the reason being, Eddie, is that they made Jiraxis a hero card. Everything that affected Jiraxis before as a minion stops affecting Jiraxis. Which means... Huh?
Yeah, I was about to say, like the Sacrificial Pact.
Like, Sac Pact doesn't work. Dirty Rat cannot pull Jiraxis out. Anything that pulls Jiraxis out does not pull Jiraxis out. You know, pretty much anything like that. Anything that would affect Jiraxis because he's a minion. And there are a lot. Not only Sac Pact, but there's a Paladin secret.
Repetence.
No, it's from
Trial.
it's from Leave Explorers.
Sacred Trial.
Yeah, Sacred Trial. Sacred Trial could kill Draxus. There's a lot of things like that that affect Draxus, and I don't think it's smart making Draxus a hero. I think making this just a unique thing that's starting now, and that's great, because essentially what I mentioned to Eddie was, cool, Planeswalkers kind of come to, are kind of coming to Hearthstone, but they're not really Planeswalkers, because they just kind of replace your hero and you get new stuff. So, the card that they kind of showed off for this new mechanic was Deathstalker Rexar, because essentially the theme that they're following is that all of the heroes for each of the classes have died and become Death Knights. So each class is going to be actually going to be getting a hero. A lot, and this is in line of kind of what Quest did last time, where we basically have 2 legendaries. So don't expect anything other than Death Knight versions of the classic class heroes. But essentially they revealed the Hunter hero, which is Deathstalker Rexar. He costs 6 mana, has the battle cry of deal 2 damage to all enemy minions, and he gives you 5 armor upon actually replacing your hero. So you keep your health and just get 5 armor. And he replaces your hero power with Build-A-Beast, which costs 2 and allows you to craft a custom Zombeast. Now, to give you an idea what this hero power actually does, these are the things that have been confirmed. Basically, it's kind of like a Discover-like effect. Think more lines of Kazakus. You will basically, both times, you will be given choices of beasts that you can discover, costing that cost 5 or less, because they're going to combine everything. The first 3 choices are essentially going to have a special ability. And then the second 3 choices will either be vanilla beasts, or they will have just regular keywords, just some keywords, okay? And what Build-A-Beast does is it combines all of the stats of the 2 beasts along with all of their abilities. So, to basically build a custom beast. I know Hearthstone right now actually has a generator. And I want to get back to Build-A-Beast, because I have my own thoughts about this and how it relates to how good Deathstalker Rexar is. But before we do that, Eddie, I just kind of want to talk more, before we get into that, I want to talk about more about what this means hero-wise, what heroes mean for Hearthstone going forward. Because a lot of people keep on wanting, like, you know, we've seen hero skins. They're not cards, they're just different skins. And those are fine, but what the hero card means for Hearthstone means that they could come up with any different type of hero. It could even be a neutral hero. Some people are wondering if we will actually get some neutral heroes in the set or not. I'm actually not sure about that. If so, maybe one. But what this means is that maybe the Hearthstone Blizzard doesn't really invest so much in different hero skins, because essentially you're just reskinning the same class, and maybe tries to come up with unique new heroes for those classes that just completely changes the way you play the class. And that's exciting for me. Because, Liadrin is nice, or I like Tyrande, or, Medivh, or even, what's his name?
Khadgar.
Even Khadgar. Yes, I love playing with Khadgar. It's nice to reskin your hero, but what's more exciting to me, Eddie, is if you actually get a card that completely changes how you play. Like, we recently got, what's her name?
The rogue one?
Yeah.
Maiev.
Yeah, we recently got Maiev, and, that's nice. It looks really nice when you're playing these heroes, but what would have been more exciting, Eddie, having a, just a new Rogue Maiev skin, or actually having a Maiev card that you played and completely changed the way the class played.
Right.
To me,
I understand that.
Yeah, to me, this is the most exciting thing that's been announced for a while. Like, I love the idea of multi-class cards. I felt that was exciting. I felt that opened up a lot of design space. We haven't seen Blizzard express any interest in pursuing that, but just the fact that they did it once means that they can do it again. Quests were also interesting. You could build around it. But for me, this is probably the most interesting thing in quite a while, just because they've been toying around with the idea of different heroes for a while, but they were just reskins. And now that there's an actual card, I'm expecting, Eddie, we will see this a lot more often. And this could be one of those things, like a lot of people are just saying, well, how about a card every once in a while? Like, I've been a staunch opponent to the idea of releasing just a card here and there between sets, but Eddie, I would not be opposed to releasing a hero card every once in a while in between sets or as part of a special event. I don't know. I just think that's interesting. Maybe that's going too far. Maybe we should just keep the hero, maybe just have hero skins be released as special promotional things every once in a while, but have hero cards be released more often. I think out of all of the new conceptual releases, that new card types that Blizzard has toyed with in the past few expansions, this is the one I think we are going to see more often, because I think that's just more exciting. It allows Blizzard to experiment a bit. So yeah, I'm very excited about this. I don't know about your thoughts on let's just get on your thoughts about just heroes in general, like this new hero type card.
Alright, with this new hero type card, I know that if anything, I've only seen, at least gotten to see, Deathstalker Rexar. So if anything, like, I can think to the ideal of maybe they'll do something with it. Maybe they'll, like, start going, oh, well, maybe this is a new way we can do this hero stuff. And that'd be fine and that'd be okay. It wouldn't bother me too much to where it's just like, oh, hey, here's this new hero you can try out, or at least this new sort of thing to kind of go along and the conceptualize of the set, if it takes off. However, there's a lot of times to where I also have to be realistic in this thought of, more than likely, this sort of thing will be a one-off. Now, until, like, Team 5 and Blizzard does something that'll change my mind on it, like they actually start releasing more, like, tri-class cards or something along those lines with this new stuff coming forward, then I'll be like, alright, well, I mean, hey, cool. But I do like the idea of it, and it's really got my brain kind of tinkering and flickering on, what's going to be each hero's unique thing? Because it's just like, each hero can and will do something different. So it's just like, okay, what's Jaina going to do? What's the Rogue going to be able to come up with? Are we going to see a new Shadow Priest archetype? Because, like, when you look at the art for Knights of the Frozen Throne, you see Anduin, and he's holding the Shadow Form card. So it's like, is he going to become now a Shadow Priest? And so it's just like, there's a lot to kind of toy with and tinker and just, like, kind of conceptualize between now and the 24th at least, until they start actually leaking more cards and we start kind of like chewing over the fat of it. But to kind of bring it all back home, I really do like this idea.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's something that can be unique and it gives them that wiggle room. So
yeah.
I really, if anything, I want to get to the chewing and then the fat of Rexar.
Yeah, I get that, and I'm just going to mention a few things. Like, I know that for a lot of this stuff, it seems that Blizzard just has it as a one-off. I'm just excited that it opens up possibilities going forward, and I'm kind of the guy that geeks out about that, because I always love these kind of new mechanics and what this could mean for the game. But I also know that unlike quests and unlike the multi-class, the multi-class mechanic, that the developers, I remember during the announcement, the developers actually expressed interest in exploring the hero card space going forward. So, maybe my whole thing of in between sets is probably not a good idea. Let's just keep it in sets. But I would not be surprised to actually see this pop up a lot more often, because it allows them to be creative. I don't think it's going to be in excess as it's going to be here. It's probably just going to be every now and then. And they'll probably aim, maybe for some neutral stuff. But I think that definitely from what they've said, this is definitely an idea they want to work on and work with. And that makes me happy. But let's actually get to Deathstalker XR in general. I've already gone over the stats. I've already gone over how Build-A-Beast works. So now let's just kind of get to my general thoughts on Deathstalker XR. And that is, I don't think this hero is going to work. Like, I don't think this particular hero, Deathstalker XR, will work. I mean, maybe he's about the right cost. The battle cry is effective because it's essentially a consecration, or an explosive trap, if you want to get it that way, and that the armor is right. I think where the snag with this hero comes in is the Build-A-Beast power. As potentially broken as it sounds, guys, Hunter doesn't play this way. It's so tempting to try to get Hunter to play slowly. But every single time we've tried, or anybody's tried, it just doesn't work. And Build-A-Beast is just a huge loss in tempo. It costs 2 just to build a beast, and these things are going to be expensive. They don't go on the field, they go in your hand, and then you have to play them. And yeah, you could be creating potential powerful beasts, but at this point in the game, we are talking probably turn 7, 8 on. How powerful is that really going to be? And is this really what Hunter's going to want to, do? And I know that people are going to go, well, there's, mid-range type Hunters and all this stuff. But guys, do you really think that you're going to play a Hunter deck and get rid of your shot? That shot is a very effective hero power. And the thing is, sorry about that. The thing is that we already had a card that changed the Hunter hero power in the last set. And Eddie, I think both of us thought it was bonkers. It was a crazy power. I messed around with that power. We even thought the quest was going to be bonkers. And I messed around with Dinomancy, because I liked the idea of Dinomancy. It was a cool hero power. It would allow a really mid-range archetype. And you know what we found, Eddie? What everybody found out? Dinomancy doesn't work. So if Dinomancy, which changed the Hunter hero power and forced Hunter to play slowly, didn't work, why do we expect Build-A-Beast to work? I mean, I like the concept, and yeah, it's so tempting to go, hey, you have Kazakus effects every turn, but Kazakus is powerful because it puts a body on the board and allows you to kind of pick when you want to use your ability, and then that ability gives you tempo immediately. The spell you plays. Build-A-Beast does not do any of that. In order to use the Build-A-Beast hero power on the same turn that you play the hero, it'd have to be at least turn 8, turn 7 with the coin. And then, even if you did that as soon as possible, you're still not going to be able to play the beast from your hand, which is probably a huge beast, costing at least 5 mana or more. Basically, it's going to cost probably most of a turn to build the beast in the first place, and probably you can't play that beast on the same turn you build it, and that beast is probably going to take up most of your next turn. This is a slow deck. And as powerful as these beasts and as bonkers as these beasts can be, I just can't think of this actually being viable. Especially not in Hunter.
Alright, my turn?
Yeah.
Alright. So, 2 things I'm definitely going to correct you on, at least. Or at least, number 1 thing I'm going to correct you on. his hero power is not a consecration or an explosive trap, because those damage the hero as well.
Oh yeah, sorry.
That just goes on minions. So what you're really looking at is you're looking at 6 cost, the dragon that came out in the last set, more or less, with its
Primordial Drake, yeah.
effect. Primordial Drake, yes. That's what you're more so looking at. And with that battle cry, it's powerful, so I mean, it's not bad. Then we look at the Build-A-Beast. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I have tinkered around with some of the builds that you can do on Hearthstone. And man, is it fun. I definitely have to say. So, let's say, just for X's and G's, of course, you're going to play this on turn 6. You're going to actually play it on curve. Then you're going to hit your Build-A-Beast power. One of the first things that came to mind, because I read it across Tosis' thing, was Flappy Bird plus Stone Tusk Boar. You get a full cost 4/4 with charge, and of course, it being Vicious Fledgling, just being able to just go and potentially right to face and get that effect payoff immediately. Which I'm just like, that's funny. But you are right in the fact that a lot of the times you're going to be more or less potentially looking at building those bigger in beasts, maybe. I mean, just in standard side alone. I'm not going to touch wild just yet, but I'm going to go ahead and touch standard. You can get things like that combo off. You can get, like, Vicious Fledgling and Stranglethorn Tiger. It's an 8 cost 8/8 with stealth, but you just sinuate. Or you can go along the lines and you can get the Pterodactyl Hatchling, which is Battle Cry, 3 cost 2/3, I believe, adapt, and then combo it with something like Stubborn Gastropod, which is poisonous. So you just get these just wicked combinations of things you can do just from that side. And then you go into Wild, where, like, you can have your Acid Maw, which, like, at the end of your turn deals 1 damage to everything. Well, you combo that with your Poison, like a poisonous creature like Giant Wasp or Emperor Cobra or the Gastropod, and you get a field wipe with it. Or you can go, oh hey, I'm going to play Jeweled Macaw alongside my Web Spinner. Battle Cry, I get a beast. Death Rattle, I get a beast.
Except it doesn't work like that. The first one has an actual big effect. The second one is pretty much vanilla stats or keywords.
That's why I was going with, like, keywords and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, there are some keywords that actually get to go in.
Yeah, but you can't combine a Jewel Macaw with a Web Spinner. You'd either get a Jewel Macaw or a Web Spinner and then combine it with something vanilla.
My fun, maybe. But anyway, I mean, you at least you can see my point here. Like, you can even build fat minions. Like, you take Oasis Snapjaw and you combine it with the Stubborn Gastropod. You've got a 3 cost, or not a 3 cost, you have a 6 cost 3/9 with Taunt Poisonous. And depending on what you're going up against, have fun getting through that. But, like, realistically, I see Deathstalker Rexar being something right now, because I haven't seen the rest of the set yet. I'm going to come back to him. Like, he is on my notes of come back to Deathstalker Rexar because you haven't seen the rest of the set. This is going to be a very experimental card because of just how it's looking and how it's shaped. So, do you have Anything else to add?
Yeah, well, I don't, like I said, I'm not disagreeing that Build a Beast could be completely bonkers. What I'm saying is that there's been a lot of really cool things in Hunter that we've been excited about before, and then it just hasn't taken off because Hunter has a certain tempo with the way it plays, and there's a certain way that the Hunter plays, and it's hard to break from that.
Mork!
Yeah. Or, even mid-range can do it, but mid-range needs a certain amount of value, and I don't think Build-A-Beast can do it. I think Build-A-Beast is good. It's like, it has the potential to be bonkers, it's probably going to be fun, but I don't think... I think you're gonna run into the Raptor problem, the Raptor Quest problem from last set. I think that's exactly the fate of Deathstalker Rexar, and I want to like this card, but everything in me says, how this is going to end up, so I don't think this card stands a chance. I really don't.
Hence why I gave it, at least for me, I gave it that rating of wait. Just wait for the rest of the set.
I can't even say wait for the rest of the set because, I know what's going to happen.
No, you don't. That's all I can say is no, you don't.
Here's the thing. You're going to wait for the rest of the set, and there'll be a lot of hunter cards that looks like it supports this. But then people will experiment with it, find out it won't be supported, and they'll just use the hunter cards to make a brand new aggro hunter deck. Our mid-range hunter deck. It happened in Ngoro. I think Deathstalker Rexar is dead on arrival. That's my rating.
I won't give it that. I'll say at least wait. And wait and see. Because I did the same thing with Living Mana last time. That it was dead on arrival and it was a crap card. And then, well, I turned out wrong. Highly.
I would be highly surprised if I'm wrong on this. Like, I wouldn't mind experimenting with it, but I can't see this being viable.
We shall see, my friend. I get the next card?
Yes.
We move on to the Shallow Gravedigger. It's 3 cost, 3/1. Death Rattle. Add a random Death Rattle minion to your hand. Hello! I am already looking at you and Wild, and I'm going, I like you. You honestly are going to make Amara Quest so much better and just so much easier to play. Now, as far as being, like, incredibly out there and incredibly bonkers, maybe. This is another one of my I have to wait and see for the rest of the set to be able to go high end yes, high end no on, because it's just like I go back to Stonehill Defender, and that card was really underrated. And I'm seeing the same sort of motif being followed with Shallow Gravedigger, with people just going, this is garbage, this isn't going to be, viable or useful. You're adding a random Death Rattle minion to your hand, which means you can get the bonkers things like Tyrion in your hand. So it's just like, I'm not going to discount it, because she's definitely going in the Zoth decks. Granting her stats are kind of crap as far as her health goes, because it's just you can ping it and kill it. But at the same time, she's also fulfilling 2 stipulations in Amara, which I figure will more than likely get more growth and more play because of her. So it's just like, I'm putting her on my wait list, but for right now, she sits at a very good spot. Especially, like, knowing what I know about the wild scene. So, Bob, I'm going to throw that one over to you.
I really like this card. And I think you're being way too cautious so far in this expansion. Because I don't think there's any reason to wait and see on Shallow Gravedigger. guys, if we are anywhere close to correct, Eddie is guessing 28, I'm guessing around the 30-ish range. There's going to be a lot of Death Rattle in this expansion. And I want to say there's probably going to be several really good Death Rattle. I would be surprised if there isn't really good Death Rattle in this expansion. If we are comparing this to Naxxramas at all, yeah, just by what we expect from this expansion, Shallow Gravedigger is good on that alone. Not to mention the Death Rattle minions that we already have. Now, I think that the comparisons being made to Stonehill Defender are accurate, because I think this is the Stonehill Defender of this set. And there's a lot of people in the community just going, oh, it's a bad card because of the stats. I'm going to get completely real. There have only been 3 cards, especially Death Rattle cards, that I have called bad because of stats. And those were Polluted Hoarder, Runic Egg, and Backstreet Leper. And here is why. Because I compared them to what came before. Okay? Polluted Hoarder I said was bad because they essentially took Loot Hoarder and doubled everything about it, but while keeping the Death Rattle. They doubled all the stats while keeping Death Rattle the same. And I said the reason why it was a worse card was because the entire reason you played Loot Hoarder in your deck was because you did not expect Loot Hoarder to survive. You wanted him out there early for early tempo. They had to respond to it. If they didn't, you got to attack in, maybe trade or whatever. But if they did respond to it, you got a card. Now, doubling all the stats pretty much defeats the entire purpose of why you were playing Loot Hoarder in the first place. Yeah, the Death Rattle draw card is there, but it's a lot harder to really justify having a Polluted Hoarder when you can have Loot Hoarder do the exact same job and do it easier. And for different reasons, although similar reasons, that's why I called Runic Egg bad. Runic Egg was bad because essentially it just sat there. It had no stats whatsoever, and you're like, please kill it for me, please, pretty please kill it for me, and that's the only way you could draw a card. Meanwhile, if you just waited one friggin' turn, you could play a Loot Hoarder, and you're guaranteed to get it killed. Either they would kill it for you, or you attack things until it dies and you draw a card. It pretty much accomplished the same task, and it did some other things as well. Instead of just sitting on your field kind of helpless and going, well, I hope somebody attacks me today. Meanwhile, I called Backstreet Leper bad. And I think a lot of people are going to be going, but Bulba, Backstreet Leper has the exact same stats as Shallow Gravedigger. Yes, but that's not why I called it bad. Backstreet Leper had the exact same Death Rattle as Leper Gnome. And basically the Death Rattle was it did 2 damage to the enemy hero. But the difference was, while Leper Gnome had lesser stats, it either did, before the nerf, it did the same amount of damage when it attacked, or after the nerf, it did less damage when it attacked. Either way, basically it could threaten you with the damage it could do, and if you just pinged it off early, that's okay. It's either going to do more damage to your face than it could have done by itself, or it's going to do the same amount of damage to your face. Either way, you lose. It did not bother anybody playing Leper Gnome if you killed it, because the whole point was they want you to kill it so that they can do damage to your face. Otherwise, it's just going to keep on just kind of doing this damage and just maybe doing 2-for-1 type deals. Meanwhile, with Backstreet Leper, it did 1 less damage to your face than it could do by just attacking normally. Which means that you played it at a tempo loss, and there was really no reason for it to have that Death Rattle. Because essentially, unlike Leper Gnome, where you're going, come on, kill it. You're doing exactly what I wanted to do. With Backstreet Leper, you're going, I hope they don't kill it because it's going to be doing less damage than if I attack their face. And that's why it was bad. It should have done at least 3 damage, if not 4 damage to the enemy hero's face. Now, 4 damage was probably excessive, but 3 damage would have equaled its attack value. It would have basically made the stats actually not that bad. But because it kept the exact same death rattle of Leper Gnome, it was a much worse card, stat-wise. Now, Shallow Gravedigger. I am not calling this a bad card because of stats. In fact, Eddie, I think the stats are right. Everybody's fearing, oh, oh, it'll just get pinged, it'll just get killed, whatever. So, what? The only reason you're going to be playing Shallow Gravedigger is not so it can go attack things. Shallow Gravedigger is a resource gatherer, just like Loot Hoarder. And that's why Loot Hoarder has 1 attack. And that's why you play Loot Hoarder in the 2 attack slot. Because you don't care if they ping it. You don't care if they have a minion attack it. If they do, you win. If not, you attack. And Shallow Gravedigger is exactly the same. You don't care if they ping it, because if they ping it, they waste resources. You don't care if they attack it with a minion, because if they attack it with a minion, or they attack it with face or whatever, they are wasting resources, and you get exactly what you want. A new Death Rattle minion in your hand. This is a draw mechanic. A very particular, important draw mechanic for Death Rattle-focused decks. And that's why it's a good card. Because the stats are exactly what it needs to be. It is not meant to attack face or attack the opponent. If it does, that's great. You attack and you attack and do damage, or you attack and get your Death Rattle card. But if not, they waste resources and you get your card anyway. It's a draw mechanic. And that's why it's good. The stats are exactly where it needs to be. Forget about everything you think you know. You are thinking about this in the wrong terms. Think of it in terms of why you play Loot Hoarder, and you understand immediately why every single Death Rattle-focused deck is going to be playing this card, and why you're going to be seeing a lot of this card. This is going to be one of the most important and underrated cards of this expansion. And you can quote me on that one.
I'm gonna play her in Priest, and then I'm gonna make her a 3/3, and then you're just gonna be like, oh no, I gotta make something to kill it. But she's really good.
Yeah.
Like, as I'm just saying, like, the only reason I was just being, like, hesitant, because I'm just like, I want to see the rest of the set, see what else is coming out with it. They just go,
and you're going, oh, but it has one defense. I'm just going, so?
That's the only gripe I have.
Well, no, I think I think 1 defense is actually good for it. Because if it had more than 1 defense, then what's the point of it being a resource gathering card? 1 defense allows it to gather resources quicker. And if they waste it, Eddie, they're wasting resources. It's a win-win for you as Death Rattle. Because the whole point of Death Rattle is for your minions to die, don't you know? It's good.
No.
It's good. The stats are just right, Eddie. Like I said, unlike Backstreet Leper, I think that it has the right stats for the job it's trying to accomplish.
Definitely agree, at least to the whole Backstreet Leper thing.
A lot of people compare, like, when people, let's go back to Stonehill Defender. When people compare Stonehill Defender, they compared it to Silverback Patriarch. Yeah, it's a 1/4 taunt like Silverback Patriarch, but the point of the card was not to just stall, was not to be a taunt minion to just stall. The point was to gather resources. So in that regard, Stonehill Defender did its job. Shallow Gravedigger, yes, it has the same stat line as Backstreet Leper or some of the other really bad stat minions. But when you realize that the whole point of this card is to generate resources, then you really don't care, because that means they have to waste resources just to kill it. Meanwhile, you get exactly what you want. This is not supposed to give you tempo to attack things. This is supposed to allow you to play, have something threatening on the board when your main goal is to get new resources for your hand.
And if anything, Stonehill Defender gather resources. It did.
Mm-hmm.
My God, it's become a meta-defining deck, or meta-defining card in that set.
Yeah, I don't think Shallow Gravedigger is going to be everywhere like Stonehill Defender, but I think in the decks that are running Death Rattle, she's going to be a must include. So yeah, you're going to be seeing her a lot. So the other new mechanic that is being introduced is something called Lifesteal. We've kind of seen this before. It's just now has a keyword. Basically, it's something that we've seen in TCGs before. Basically, the card does damage. Basically, whenever the card with Lifesteal does damage, it heals your hero for that much. That's pretty much all it is. And to kind of illustrate that, they showed us Chillblade Champion, which is a 4-cost 3/2 Paladin minion with charge and Lifesteal. Okay, I guess for me right now, I don't have a lot to really compare this to and trying to figure out what could be ran. I guess Paladin probably can and will run this, but without much comparison, I just don't know. Is Paladin going to be using lifesteal? I just think Paladin has a lot of things with lifesteal or with life gain anyway. Maybe there probably will be a lifesteal. Like, part of me goes, I'm not sure if we'll see it. Another part of me says, we probably will. So I'm kind of on the fence here, Eddie. Because I'm not sure whether we'll see it or not. This could either be in almost every Paladin deck, or it could be in almost no Paladin deck. And I'm not sure if there's a way for us to tell right now.
Buffetin', na Buffetin'.
Oh no, yeah, Buffetin will definitely use this, but
oh my god, just yeah.
But we don't see a lot of Buffetin anyway.
No, I mean, like, let me just get in on this one at this point, because it's just like, I'm taking a look at Shieldblade Champion, and it's like, okay, it's a 4-cost 3/2. Great, it's got charge, and it's got the lifesteal for me to be able to just heal up if I need to. So,
but would you play this on turn 4 over True Silver Champion?
It depends. Because, like, True Silver Champion is the 4-card slot. And, again, I'm going to put this in my, I have to put this in my wait and see column, because I want to see what else comes with the Paladin set this time around, because Paladin has a very soft spot in my heart.
Yeah. I'm not putting this in a wait and see as far as I'm going to wait for other cards. I'm just going to just outright admit I just don't know what the meta is going to do. This is one of those cards that I just think is just so on the edge, I can't call it. Like, I seriously can't. Like I said, I think it's either going to be either a very niche card or every deck's going to run it. And we're not going to know until the meta sells down. We're not going to know until things happen. So I don't know where this is going to land.
Now, if anything, I can see highly that people will experiment with it, because there are a lot of 3-health minions out there, or at least when you use this in tandem with whatever's maybe left on your board, you're able to get a good quick hit in to be able to get either destroy a minion that's going to be a complication and problem to you to be able to also get your 3 health back, or, I mean, just, hey, it's just quick, go, done, do your thing, I'm out. Now, let's say it actually does go into a Buffetin deck, in a sense. Like, let's just say, for some reason, out of left field, because of this set, Buffetin goes meta.
Yeah.
That card, getting hit with Don Honcho, or just building up in your hand, when you drop it down and just hit the board with it, being able to regain health with a renewed vigor with 1 card for 4? But if we want to go in the early game side of things, this is a tough sell for me when it comes to it compared to True Silver Champion, because True Silver Champion is giving me 2 guaranteed hits, I would say, because a lot of times my opponent may not have their weapon destroying card in hand. So I'm going to be able to have a hold of this True Silver Champion and just be able to just knock down 2 minions that you summon that are 4 health or less, and just get rid of them. With the Chillblade Champion, it's just, he hits the field, takes off, and then could potentially be done. Or it's just, that's why I'm just like, I want to see more. Because it's just like, there's potential with this.
Yeah.
There really is. And I'm just like, let me see more and then I'll come back to you.
Gut tells me Paladin probably will use it, but I don't know. I can't make this call.
Yeah, given, if anything, also because, like, just depending on how your deck decided to evolve through with it, let's go Chillblade Champion into Spike Ridge Steed. It becomes a 5/8 with charge lifesteal. But that's way down the line. You're talking late game. So, I mean, eh, it's just, with this thing. I don't know. I really don't. So it's just like I'm kind of on that same fringe side of things where you are. But are we good with Chillblade Champion? Because the card that I have already at least got in my mind right now, that is the definitive. You're getting 2 of these. You want these. It's Spirit Lash. It's a priest exclusive, 2-cost, lifesteal. Deal 1 damage to all minions. This is going to be one of Priest's meta-defining cards, because it is a very cheap and worthwhile card. You could compare it to things like Whirlwind. You can compare it to the Shaman.
Maelstrom Portal.
Thank you, Maelstrom Portal. I would say you could compare it to Arcane Explosion, but it's just like Arcane Explosion, all it does is the 1 damage. It doesn't really give you much back. With this, you're getting health back. And if you decide, like, hey, I'm going to compare this with either Blood Mage Thalnos to be able to make it to where I'm dealing 2 damage to everything on board and gaining 2 back for every minion hit, including the Blood Mage Thalnos. Or if you want to incorporate it and include it with your Wild Pyromancer to do just a quick board nuke because your opponent's trying to play aggro and just... I need to be able to get X amount of health back from just using the lifesteal ability and just clear the board. So, yeah, I can see Spirit Lash being just this meta-defining card, as well as being able to potentially yank it from Lyra. And yanking this thing from Lyra, especially if it's discounted. Yes, that late game, I need to be able to get back into this game real quick and real easy. Just fish it out, throw it in, let's go. Bob, I'm gonna throw this one to you.
Yeah, this is a pretty cool card. I'm not sure if I'm on board with it. It's an auto-include with it's an auto-include 2 with everything, but I think this is a very good AoE option for Priest, mainly because of lifesteal. This allows it to basically have an early tool against aggro and actually heal all of that back. And again, like you said, with spell damage, you can actually buff it up. I have some ideas with it, but I think this is a decent card. This is a pretty good card. And as far as my plans, I kind of want to just see where the rest of the set goes. Now, in Lifesteal in general, we do need to mention that Blizzard says that there's not going to be a lot of Lifesteal cards in this set. So there's probably going to be a few here and there, but don't expect Lifesteal to be everywhere. Which is fine.
You know something?
Hmm?
With Spirit Lash, this may also make Street Trickster viable.
No, they're still better spell damage minions all over the place, even in that slot.
Inner Fire, Street Trickster, Spirit Lash meta, let's go!
You work on that, dude. And last, but, well, we don't know. We have Prince Keliseth, which is a legendary 2-cost minion with 2 attack and 2 health, and the battle cry, if your deck has no 2-cost cards, give all minions in your deck +1/+1. I am not sure what to make of this card. Like, I've been going back and forth on this. Having no 2-cost cards in your deck is a big ask for a lot of classes. And Prince Keliseth, the question is he worth it? Because number one, he's not going to start in your opening hand unless you can try to mulligan for him. And number two, he is pretty much just going to buff the minions in your deck. Not in your hand, not in the field, just in the deck. So if you draw him late, sucks to be you. Now, granted, this has kind of an effect like Reno's, where basically you can hold him in your hand. Like if you do put two cost cards in your hand, in your deck, you can just hold them in your hand. If you get them, you can just hold them in your hand until you draw them and then play it. But as like when I was building my legendary deck and tried running 2 Resurrects, that's not a good idea. It's a lot better if you're going to be playing a deck with this card to just not put any other 2 cost cards in the deck. But I'm just looking at this battle cry and I'm just not sure if it's worth it. I'm just not sure if this is powerful enough, especially if you're not guaranteed to get him early. But then again, I've thought about cards like Reno and Kazakis and Raza, and with the cards like that, it's kind of worth it to just kind of experiment and build your deck uniquely around a different kind of playstyle just for this one card. But then again, I go back on the other hand and say, yeah, but then again, the rewards for doing so with those cards were so much better. I'm not sure if Prince Kaliseth is worth it. I mean, I'm trying to stretch my imagination, but just the fact that you're not guaranteed to get him early, and the fact you might not play him early, and the fact that in the long run, +1/+1 is not a huge buff. I'm just not sure this card's worth it to build a deck around. Eddie?
I want to play Devil's Advocate. So I'll at least play Devil's Advocate at the start of this thing.
To be fair, I play Devil's Advocate against myself. So.
I know, but it's just more or less like I can see like maybe someone going along the ideal of like, oh hey, I want to try out that Quest Hunter deck, and I want to be able to use Prince here to be able to just go and make all the stuff in my deck stronger. Make all those 1/1s that go into my deck now 4/3s. Yay, 4/3s. But it's just, I look at them and I just go, what can I do with you? Or at least, what can you fit into that you work with? Because I look at all the heroes and I go, okay, Rexar, depending, because like if you're gonna go Quest, this is the only thing you're gonna put in your two cost slot, which that's fine.
Yeah, that is fine. Like when people mention Quest Hunter, I'm like going, yeah, that's not a bad idea. But even then, I'm just going, eh.
I'll back up to the class that comes before Rexar, and that's Druid. So let's build, or at least let's try to tinker around with the token Druid deck. That means you're gonna have to uncork your 2 Power of the Wilds. You're going to have to take those out of the deck. And you're going to have to take the 2 Direwolf Alphas out of the deck. I don't think you're going to take those out because those are early tempo, as well as the other one being a buff. So it's just like, okay, we're not taking those out of the deck at all. So that's out of the question. Moving on. Then we go to, like, Mage, Paladin, and just, you keep going down the line, and you're just like, what class, what thing could actually make this useful, make this viable? And you kind of think to yourself, and you gotta go, okay, maybe Zudex? And that's about it. But at the same time, those Zudex rely on those early game tempo cards, so it's just like, So it's just, I don't know what to do with you, Your Majesty. I really don't. I think at this point, you're the one for me right now that's dead on arrival. So, I mean, just, maybe there's something I'm not seeing with it yet. Like, If something comes completely out of left field with this set entirely, by all means, make me come back and think on the Prince, please. But for now, to me, he's dead on arrival.
Yeah, and I can't, like I said, like I'm with you. I can't really think of what he'd be used good for, and I am just looking over generally the 5 cards revealed, and for me it makes sense that they really didn't show the best they had. In fact, they might have shown middling to poor, but they covered all the bases that I think that we need to understand about the set. So they talked to us about heroes, but they showed probably what is not as good. A hero that's with a hero power that gets us hype, but when you really think about it, you're going, is this good? Is this good at all? And then they showed us a Death Rattle minion, but it's the Death Rattle minion that gives you other Death Rattle minions, so it's pretty middling. They're not showing their best stuff. They introduced Lifesteal, and they showed a middling Lifesteal minion. But then they showed us a spell that's not the greatest spell in the world, but it's to show you that Lifesteal can be attached to spells. So who knows, there may be some other things down the line. And then, of course, we need a legendary. So they don't show us the best they have, but they show something that's just going to confuse us, and it might be a bad legendary in general. So to me, it makes sense that this might not be a good legendary, because I don't think they're trying to show us the good stuff. And you know what? That's fine. Because, when they do start really revealing cards, we'll be here, and we'll probably be really excited, because I expect a lot of really good things going forward.
And if anything, especially given that their new legendary system of if you pull it, then, you can't make a copy, or at least get a copy of it. Thank you! I don't need multiple copies of, right now, Deathstalker Rexar and the Prince. I don't need multiple copies of those. So, thank you! I now potentially have 800 free dusts.
Yep. So, anyway, guys, thanks for hearing us ramble. We will see you next time when the cards really start get going, and until then, see you later.